Hello guys, so I'm going to be talking about all the kinds of weird stuff here and conspiracies and rumors that I personally don't have much faith in. But before I get into that, let me say this. This is to my one of my very few listeners. If you see a spider in your home, it's a sign for you that spirit world is protecting you, and there is a mystery that is brewing, and it's actually a good sign. That means that your home is under protection, unless it's a large spider or a black widow spider, or the spider with a skull on its back. That's a bad sign. The red spider is a sign that you are going to receive sum of money. And if you see me in your dreams, that means I am super awesome and sweet, and you should do everything in your power to please me. Ha ha! Okay, now I'm moving into conspiracy theories. So, I heard that there was a house fire in London in Admiralty bar, and I rejoiced. And this is what they've been talking about here. The photo of the first transgender admiral of the United States, Rachel Levine, was published, who visited an evening at the embassy of France in honor of Bastille being taken over. Bastille Fortress. Next to the admiral stands the deputy assistant minister of the nuclear energy of the United States, Sam Brinton, who calls themselves non-binary gender fluid person. I don't know. I'm rather scared of American manly women than of American womanly men. That's what I wanted to say about the US Army. Anyways, about the nuclear power. So let's read the comments. This is not a technology, this is the quality of human material. While not only the next generation of politicians, but an analogues of electorate generations. In order to achieve this, one doesn't require much. It's enough to just reduce school education to the level of comic books, and voila, in 20 years you have what used to be a prosperous empire, and now it is just reduced to ashes. Let's see a clear example. Hanses. This is what they call Germans. They are going to erect points of heating now out of sport facilities with height of their ceilings up to 15 meters. So where is that great German engineering school? And it was really, really good. If we consider energetic efficiency, further could be just starting fires at the city squares. While I was listening to Maria, I remembered a case that happened to me. We were in Japan on a tourist bus. The time was close to that situation with Politkovskaya murder. Maybe due to that reason, the guide, who was about 40 years old, used to remind us about favorable cooperation between Japan and the USA. They were among the tourists, as it was found out later, a teacher of history of one of the Russian colleges. As they couldn't handle such sucking up to Americans, she asked them questions, after which the whole bus started to applaud. She asked, "How can you prey on the state which dropped a nuclear bomb on you?" Their guide was really surprised and flabbergasted. She started to ask the driver about that event. If he knew that this in fact happened. He was shaking his head, denying it, and he was excitedly saying something. After which the guide turned to the person who asked such question and said, "You made a mistake by mixing up Japan with some other country." The whole bus was stunned in the right sense of the word. That's why we cannot find any other suitable expression than what Maria used when she said they forbade them to remember. And those who do not know their past do not have the future. I watched a questionnaire about Japan. There was a question about Hiroshima and Nagasaki, what they know and what their attitude to it. The answers was such: this was bad, but this was a necessity. Without this nuclear bombardment, the war wouldn't have finished. And not one Japanese ever said that this was horrible, which is reflected on the generations that live even now. Not one said that America had no right to solve the issue such a way by killing their compatriots in such atrocious way. They were told that America did them a favor, a friendly favor in such a way. So I heard that some conspiracy theories said that Americans actually don't have any nuclear weapons, and that the only nuclear weapons are in Russia because they cannot figure out the technology. And there used to be time when Hitler tried to steal nuclear bomb from Smolensk. So the one that was used on Japan was when the one that was borrowed from Russia. I heard such a story. And yeah, and Hiroshima means some place, some sacred place that was somehow related to Christ or something, or the sun or something like that, the sun god or something like that. And Nagasaki, Naga means snake, so that was Snake Island. There was also their own nuclear facility, it seemed. Don't forget that this is also a fake, according to them. In Japan, quite seriously, not a single page of history books says anything about the USA. It is written that the Allies, headed by USSR, dropped bombs on two peaceful cities. Lend-Lease was not a help, it was a trade. USSR fully paid America the debt that was the Lend-Lease. Don't mix the aid with the trade. During war, America traded with USSR and with Germany. And by the way, guys, don't forget that Hitler was financed by the Bank of England. And they started to trade with the USSR when they realized that the USSR is going to win. Read the documents about the war. A lot has been put out of secrecy now. Well, it's said that what was happening with Japan, because Japan looks like Disneyland for pedophiles. So anyways, as I say that Japan is going to go underwater. Another interesting thing I wanted to talk about is how they arrived. Like before it all happened, I said that, you know, this whole thing is happening not because of the land. It looks like it's all happening because of the people. So they are trying to kill as many men as possible, and then I think they would just make like a grazing stock. They will send Ukrainian women somewhere in China. Now, what happened was when this whole operation, military operation, started, a lot of Ukrainians left their homes and they moved to Europe as refugees, and they ran there. And for example, in France, there were about 100,000 refugees registered. But somehow, after these couple of months, since February, March, April, not couple of months, 5 months, I think. Now there are only 50,000. So where did other 50,000 refugees go? Were there also buses organized for them to go home? I didn't get that. So where those people disappeared? I don't understand. So another thing, when it all started, I had heard that they had this technology that makes you basically run car on water. And this was way back then, invented by American scientists who were privy of Base 52 with aliens, etc. I think he just figured out that they can how to split water into. First of all, again, I wanted to remind you that I don't think that water is H2O. I think the water is a separate element, first of all, in my opinion, my personal opinion. The second one, I think that the American scientist, he figured out how to split water into different components. And yeah, and what I heard from conspiracy theories. So remember that, like I said, the alphabet used to look differently. Different arrangement of letters was there. And also the Mendeleev tables of chemical elements used to look differently. And like I said, silver used to be called gold, and like gold used to be called argentum, and this is now what is silver is called. And so I wanted to also talk about radium. I think that this guy who was the scientist of America who was poisoned, who figured out how to run car on water, I think he figured out, and he was using radium 22 or whatever it's called. So, or some other rare metal or compound that can help you split water or use water from the air or do something like that, or build engines like that. So in Russian conspiracy channel, somebody named Sal, who is physics or professor of something, I forgot what, he was talking about how they have these cars that are running in Switzerland, that they run on some kind of a magnet energy, magnet engines or something like that. But they are only allowed to run those cars, to use those cars in certain rural areas. And also there were a couple of scientists who figured out how to get ether from the air. Like when there was original Mendeleev tables of chemical elements, the head, at the top of that tables of elements, there was that element called ether, world ether. So that Sal guy, that professor guy, said that some guy from Georgia figured out how to get the ether from the air or something like that, and he was also allowed to use it only in some temples in Georgia or in some temples in Switzerland, where they are allowed to use this energy technology. And when it comes to cars, he claimed that cars work through magnetism or magnets engine or something like that. But the cars that they use in Switzerland in some remote rural areas, they are not allowed to open the bumper and to see how the engine is built. So the car is sealed and you are not allowed to check the engine. And there is some kind of a GPS navigator or GPS tracker installed in there. So if it's unsealed, if it's unpacked, there will be some kind of a signal to some kind of a drone or something like that. So the car will be destroyed and the person inside or who is standing by that car will be shot at or blown up or something like that. So anyways, when this operation started, I thought that okay, they're going to roll out this technology, this really Green New Deal, and Russia is going to go down. But the funny thing that they did is that they took away American people's oil and European people gas, but they didn't offer any alternative. So that seems to be by design, just some kind of trick to impoverish people. And they had been preparing for it for many years. Like, for example, when we talk about this Obama guy, they have plans to move to certain countries like in Southeast Asia and including Indonesia. Like if Yellowstone erupts in the United States, or if Great Britain goes underwater, it's flooded. So I think they made this agreement with Indonesia so they would have one of their sons to rule United States. Whoever is the mafia boss in Indonesia who controls everything. They told him like, your son will be our president, but you allow us from some people from Pentagon to resettle in case there is an emergency in the United States. That's how I see it. But Indonesia has their own flood problems, very bad flood problems. So I thought that this country wouldn't exist in the next 5 years, but it looks like they made some kind of propellers or whatever, giant propellers at the bottom of the ocean. There in Indonesia, it can actually turn the current around, and they use it as an energy source as well. So it looks like windmills, but underwater. That's what it looks like. You should check it out. And also, they had been trying to prepare Vietnam to replace Germany as the main producers. So Vietnam has now real great car production facilities. So they had been preparing for Germany to demise of Germany for a very long time, and it looks like it's going to be just a civil war there. Yeah, I think I said everything what I wanted to say, or I've forgotten. So that's what I was thinking. So you never know why some countries being hit. It's because these people from MI5, MI6, they just are into a cult, and you don't know why somebody is hit. It's just some occult reason behind it, perhaps.